My Hero Academia Season 6 Episode 11 is scheduled to release on December 10th, and the title for this episode is called Dabi's Dance, and in this video, I'll be discussing spoilers for this upcoming episode. This episode will cover chapters 289 and beyond of the My Hero Academia manga, with the most recent episode covering chapters 286 to 288. Credit to the My Hero Academia wiki page for the spoilers that will be provided in this video based on the My Hero Academia manga. It begins with several heroes, including Nejire and Ingenium, making their way to the battlefield as Nejire asks Ingenium why he's coming with the deployed group, as the heroes that were deployed were ones capable of flight. Ingenium says that he's prepared to accept whatever punishment awaits him for violating orders, but the reason he's joining them is because 3 of his classmates haven't returned and 2 of them taught him a valuable lesson. Meanwhile, at the battlefield, Todoroki catches Deku while still holding onto Bakugo and Endeavor and drops them on the ground with relief that the 3 of them are still alive. Just as he's about to give first aid, he, Deku, and Endeavor see Shigaraki holding his ground with the wires from his fingers and back, as All For One tells him to retreat and Shigaraki responds he isn't the boss of him. Suddenly, Ingenium and Nejire arrive to help the heroes as Shigaraki gets blasted by Nejire's wave motion, as Ingenium runs to Todoroki reporting that Gigantomachia is making its way to their current location and that they've just informed the heroes fighting the Nomus. Todoroki tells Ingenium to get the injured out of the area, as Ingenium sees why they didn't come back before. Nejire sees Ryukyu injured and glares at Shigaraki, who angrily notices the heroes popping up like maggots. Deku says he needs to stay close to Shigaraki because he's still after his quirk and tells Ingenium to help Bakugo and Endeavor escape, while Todoroki tells Nejire that Shigaraki has no doubt gotten weaker, so he thinks they can take him down. Meanwhile, inside a building, Uraraka throws Toga off of her and she rolls into another room while saying she's much stronger than the last time. Toga recovers as Uraraka tries to think of a way to make direct contact without getting her blood sucked or wasting too much time. When she charges at her, Toga says to Uraraka that when she thinks about the people she loves, it's what makes her want to become them, and the desire to take their blood for herself becomes irresistible to the point she can't hold back anymore. She does know though that while she accepts that this is who she is as a person, other people don't like her and therefore can't accept her, which she mentions is the reason she has a hard time living in the current society. She then tells Uraraka about her fight with Curious and how she told her she found her normal personality was sad and miserable and attempted to kill her, so she transformed into Uraraka and used her quirk to send her falling to her death, leaving Uraraka horrified. Toga mentions how important Twice was to her, as she tells Uraraka she considers the 2 of them the same for liking Deku, who she correctly concludes gave Uraraka the keychain. Uraraka responds that she has chosen to lock those feelings away as she uses a new ultimate move to levitate several objects with her many wires and throws them at Toga. Toga, however, tells Uraraka that she felt the same way about suppressing her feelings of draining blood since she was told to not do that in her youth, and mentions when you shut your inner feelings inside, it only makes it grow. Uraraka tells Toga that if she's going to live as she pleases hurting people, then she will have to live with those consequences. Toga then gets tears in her eyes and says that she thought so. She pulls out several knives preparing to throw them at Uraraka, but she's disarmed by Asui, who managed to locate them. Toga retreats as Asui says to Uraraka that she should stand back to back in the case she aims for their blind spots. Uraraka, however, confidently tells her that Toga just ran off, though she wonders why she had tears in her eyes as she picks up her keychain. As Toga runs off, she expresses disappointment at her conversation with Uraraka and prepares to rejoin the league, having received the answer she was looking for. As Ida, Todoroki, and Nejire fight Shigaraki, Gigantomachia finally arrives, carrying the remaining members of the Paranormal Liberation Front on his back as everyone watches in horror. Meanwhile, at Fujitani Hospital, several staff members rush to raid Todoroki's room to turn off the television, fearful that the broadcast of the latest events in Jaku City will affect her psychologically. In her room, Rei is watching the news when suddenly the signals are hijacked and switched to an unknown channel where Dabi is shown sitting with his shirt and jacket off, showing the burns on his body. at Jaku City, All For One comments on Gigantomachia's timing and how Shigaraki could collapse any minute from his beating from Deku and Endeavor. He was able to activate Revette's stab within his spine with auto tracking to reduce most of the damage, and now all he needs is for him to issue Gigantomachia to retreat with him. Todoroki and Nejire continue their attack as Todoroki says that it would be impossible to fight both Gigantomachia and Shigaraki simultaneously, and they should focus on Shigaraki for now. They unleash their ultimate moves on Shigaraki, but Gigantomachia swats them aside with his hand. Ida sees this, but Bakugo weakly tells him to put him down. He tells him that he can't because of how injured he is, but Bakugo insists on achieving a perfect victory. Gigantomachia brings Shigaraki close to his back while awaiting his next order as Spinner sees how damaged he is. Endeavor runs over to Todoroki and asks if he's alright. At the same time, he internally apologizes to Hawks for Gigantomachia being allowed to move at all. He knows he has to stop Gigantomachia and he needs to find his weakness, but his lungs have burnt away and are making it hard to keep moving, but he feels he must continue. Dabi spots Endeavor and Todoroki and greets the two as Endeavor calls him by his name. Dabi, however, asks he not be called that as he pours a liquid on his head, washing off the black color on his hair. Dabi then says that he has a more respectable name, which is Toya. Dabi's proclamation stuns Todoroki and Endeavor as Dabi says he felt his own family would have been able to recognize him despite his new look. Deku also sees Dabi, remembering when Shoto and Fuyumi told him about his older brother and coming to the realization the two are the same. In Rei's room, she watches Dabi confess his identity as Toya Todoroki, the oldest son of Endeavor. He also confesses that he's killed over 30 people and he wants to let everyone know why. He reveals to several people all across the country that Endeavor has had a long history of being power hungry, and in his despair and desire to surpass All Might, he forcibly married a woman who would birth him a child who would possess an even stronger quirk. While he was born as a result of his selfish dream, he was deemed a failure and tossed aside. Dabi continues his story to Endeavor, revealing that he watched his activities from afar and that only he should have been pure and selfless, and as of right now, his pre-recorded history is being broadcasted all around the airwaves and the internet, something Skeptic considers an ace up his sleeve, and how exhilarating it is that his disgraceful fall from heroism has begun. Dabi tells Endeavor that he thought every day about how he could best ruin his life and make him hurt, even adding that he went to Natsuo every day, asking him why he existed in tears, and how his initial plan was to wait until Todoroki became all big and famous before killing him, though he never expected Endeavor would ascend to number 1 in the end. Dabi confesses to Endeavor that he unleashed Hood, aka Hai and Nomu in Kyushu, and later Star Servant and Ending on him. He tauntingly asks if being number 1 is a lot of pressure, and if his heart has been purified with all of the public's praise, and if his newfound robustness as a father figure to his children truly makes him feel like he's developing a bond with them. He yells that Endeavor was wrong to think if he kept walking towards the future, the past would forget itself, so he's here to teach him that the past never dies. Dabi yells for Endeavor to dance with him in hell together. Meanwhile, off in the distance, a large plane draws closer. So those are the spoilers for My Hero Academia Season 6 Episode 10 titled Dabi's Dance, which once again is scheduled to release on December 10th. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.